Council meeting. My name is John Coleman, and we're holding this with an anchor location at 910 South Mountain Road, Crew Heights City, Utah 4037.
Haley, are these on?
Yes, you are not. You are now. Thank you. We are going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. It's going to be led. Oh, yes, with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Darren. I will give the opening ceremony afterward. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we bow our heads and give thanks for this day. We're very grateful for the blessing it is to be in this wonderful community, in this wonderful county, and in this state of Utah. We're very grateful for the blessings that we've been receiving from Thee with the precipitation and with the ability we have to store and retain the water. Father, please help us that we'll be able to make wise choices for our city and that we'll be able to do what Thou would have us do. Father, we give Thee thanks for this time that we have to meet. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
We are going to move on to roll call on 1.2. Jacob, actually, before we do, let me introduce Jacob Smith to everyone. He is our new city manager. He's fantastic. First week on the job, second day on the job.
Yeah, second full day on the job.
So I'll turn this over to you for roll call.
Okay. Councilmember Diane Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Gary Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Eileen Moss.
Here.
Councilmember George Ray.
Here.
And Councilmember Florence Sadler.
Here.
Mayor John Cole.
Here. Excellent job. You nailed that. Council training. I actually volunteered just a few minutes ago to do that. Is that okay, Eileen? We set aside 3 minutes on our agenda, or sorry, Diane. We set aside 3 minutes on our agenda at every city council meeting to give a training on our responsibilities as elected officials. Today, I actually want to do something slightly off topic. I would love to read a snippet of the State of the State address by Governor Cox. He said this. Yes, exactly. He said this earlier this year. Last year, now that you have heard me ask for fellow Utahns to unite in faith and prayer and asking God to help deliver us from drought, I've been mocked both at home and abroad by clever comedians and pundits in the media. But as a man of faith, I make no excuses for my beliefs. I believe there is a real power in people of all different faiths and backgrounds uniting together and pleading for help from a higher authority than our own. I am grateful and thank God every night for the impressive amounts of snow we have received so far this season. Miraculously, the Great Salt Lake has already risen more than it did all last year. A few months ago, before the first storm, I asked my team to include $5 million in the budget proposal for flood mitigation. I didn't want to be the person who showed up for a prayer meeting without my umbrella. It's too soon to know, but I sincerely hope that we will need that money. So whether you believe in God or karma or the well on 9th and 9th, I ask again that you join together and to ask for relief from the drought, all while knowing that here on earth God's work must truly be our own. He stated that in January, right before the legislative session began. And looking at where we are now, the hydrologists in the state of Utah stated this: warming and cooling temperatures is the absolute best thing that can happen for the snow melt. So we rise temperature up to 75, 78, and it drops back down a couple days later to 65. So this is the best thing that we can do for our drought. And I just want you to know that we are led by an incredible individual. And I feel very fortunate that we have a governor in the state that will ask and plead and be made fun of and ridiculed and laughed at nationally and here locally for for asking his residents to pray for moisture. And it worked. I love it. Moving on. Item number 2, declaration of conflict of interest. Does anyone have a declaration on the, or a conflict on tonight's agenda? Bugger, where's this youth city council? Item number 3. They said they were going to be here. I told them on Saturday they'd be on the agenda.
Yeah, I talked to them last night, they signed something.
They might come in late, so we will skip that. We'll move on to item number 4, which is the public comment period. This item is on the agenda to allow any residents to approach the city council or present anything. Do we have anything that anyone would like to present anything tonight? Not seeing or hearing anything, we're going to move on to item number 5.1, which is review, discuss, approve, deny the fiscal year 2023-2024 tentative budget. Now, I'm not making excuses, but I will point out the fact that we have had a transition in our city management. And this transition didn't happen at the best time for all of us. So this budget is being reviewed for the first time on Monday. I sent this out to everyone. We have to approve on the first meeting in May a tentative budget. I think there's going to be a lot of changes on this budget once we have a lot of more information. So it is my hope and desire that we can pass this full well knowing that there's going to be quite a few changes. There's a few holes in what we see right now that we just need to clean up and fix.
Are we gonna have some budget meetings where we can
Yes.
go over each item by item?
Yeah, and I would actually ask you individually to review it, highlight things, make questions, make comments in the Excel spreadsheet you have or document you have, and send them to Jacob. He's more than willing, and he wants to review questions or concerns. He's going to kind of retool how this is put together, and make it so that we can see what the requests are, see what the actuals are last year, so we can compare and see exactly very clearly who's requesting money within the city, which departments are, and what they are needing. So I apologize. I apologize very sincerely. But with that, I open it up for Jacob to do a presentation.
Yes. Before we begin.
You might need to pull that microphone closer to
Bring it
you.
a little bit closer?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Does that work, Haley? Okay. Just make sure we're being picked up. Tentative budgets, I've always seen them as a working budget. So this is a working document. There will be a lot of changes that happen to it. You hope that once we've got to this point, what I present to you doesn't have to change too much because the revenue numbers are sound. They're based on some projections from advice that I've received from the State Tax Commission, some of the economists for the state. But in this case, I haven't had the time to review those to make sure that that is the case. We don't receive the certified tax rate for our property taxes until June. Unfortunately, that's bad timing when it comes to state tax commission. I've always argued that with the county as well as the state on that, but we really don't know what that number is until June when they come out with that certified tax rate. But I was telling Mayor earlier, I view the budget as having 3 priorities. One is that it is a document for the residents of Fruit Heights, showing them how their tax dollars are being used. And we'll work towards this, and we'll see what we can do in the next month and a half to get to the final, but it should be something that's pretty self-explanatory, has some narrative, so people can read it and understand what these programs mean, what these lines are, and how their money is being used. The second thing is for you, the elected officials, this is a document where you can show your priorities for the city, how you plan to fund programs, services, personnel, and what those priorities are. And this is how we run those is with this money. The third thing is it is a management tool as well. We have on this one, and you won't see it in the final, we have the accounting codes. That helps me to keep track of what we're spending, where we're going over and under. And it's a guideline for the director and the staff when they're using those funds, how much they could use in each area based on what the council has approved. Now, this budget itself, I'll admit there's quite a bit in there. It's mostly historical data. There's a few projects that I would lean on Darren to explain in the capital areas. And I would like to have a few more meetings to discuss each of these areas individually and explain a little bit in more detail where those numbers are coming from. I didn't let Darren know this, but we have had some discussions on what some of those capital projects are. Darren, are you prepared to talk about those?
Sure.
Okay, so I'll hand it over to Darren.
So our capital projects this year are mainly road projects. Our biggest one will be Raymond Road. It's a range truck. We've been saving money for that for about the last 4 years. So that's our top one. We also have some crack seal that we've seen them do in the last few days. With that contract, we'll continue that contract for 2 more years with M&M. And just usually have a set amount we'll spend each year on that. Third will be chip sealing.
Can I interrupt you real quick? Is there any benefit to allocating more funds to crack sealing? Can we get longer life out of our roads if we do a better job of preventatively putting more crack seal down?
Yes, and so we go by the tonnage, of how much we put down. So far this spring, I put just over 10,000.
Tons?
And we'll get up to 30 is what we'll end up putting down.
Okay.
As far as the crack seal, which covers quite a bit of roads. Benefit is if we can do it down, get it down before we do chip seals, that'll help our chip seals last longer. And we have chip seals that will be coming out this year. Country Lane is one of them that we just paved.
Ellison Farms,
That's Country Lane through there, Ellison Farms. The other roads over there that we did the water, we'll crack seal those, but we'll be back to pave those in a couple of years. Right now, one of the other roads we're planning on paving is Terrace Drive, the state way, and we will probably join the developer with he's paving and use his contractor prices where we think it should be for those 2 projects.
Are we asking them to pitch in anything? They kind of are.
Yeah, we have gotten that about, hey, with everything going on, it's not helping this road even last very much longer. But I mean, it was already, it was in pretty sad shape to begin with, but yeah. Yeah,
I'm not necessarily saying, it's apparent to me, the degradation. Exponential compared to both that.
yeah, it just increases it with a speed sweat, potential heating on the end, just increase heavy. So that's our projects for this year. We'll be finishing up the meters for the irrigation, which we received a grant for. All we got left up there is landscaping, so the all meters installed, and all that, so we'll be back to that. One other one that we'll have on our capital will be tearing down that metal tank.
Cool.
I did get a price for that, it's about $80,000 to have that tore down. But it's a site up there, so it could be.
So
So.
I don't know if this conversation we need to belabor this too much, but is there any way that we could, and talking with Brandon, I think it was, $60,000, $70,000 to remove the lead and then potentially recycle it and get $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 back if we recycled it. Is there any look into doing anything along those lines still?
I haven't looked at it that way. A lot of times they'll tear it down and recycle it and take care of all of it.
Okay.
As part of that, a lot of us they equipment in the haul time, trying to get out of there. Is what I'm finding out. Cut it and shear it.
But is there value in the recycling of that? Could we get value? Could we get money back? So all I'm saying is, sorry, let me be very succinct. If we pay to have that stripped and the lead pulled out of that, and we invest the money into that up front, could we get anything on the back end of getting it recycled?
Well, I wonder if that's built into
I don't know.
that cost of demolition. They're assuming they will be recycled.
Yeah, I think some of that is they'll be recycling that, that's part of their cost for keeping it down lower.
But that means something that
We can look into that.
Is there anything-
If they'll cut it down and take it and recycle the whole thing, we don't have a bunch of lead paint that's ours forever. That's in storage.
Okay.
So, and then, we're finishing up the water lines on Shady Lane Waterfall, which we also received a grant for. Finishing those up spring.
Cool.
That's our projects on.
Could you give us an update on Mountain Road construction?
So it is scheduled for May 17th. I talked to Staker Parsons just last week, and that's when their schedule is. And they'll come in and mill and pave, probably over, I would say probably about a week.
And I know that Weaver Basin has increased their budget for that to cover more of the cost. Do you know what our responsibility as a city is for that project?
So our cost will be about $100,000.
Okay.
And then, raising and lower the valves, I just got it on.
And Weaver Basin, how much is that whole project? Is that a $600,000-700,000 project?
Yeah, so it's about $400,000. So,
And our responsibility would be one,
yeah,
about a quarter of it?
Yeah.
Can I ask a couple questions in regards to that? There's still some curb and gutter on that road up north near the town home that,
That they damaged.
been damaged. Are we gonna go through and get that fixed before May 17th?
Yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of Cobb. They're down to one person that was here, I guess, that knew what's going on. He was actually supposed to come by today and did it, so I called him again, see if I can get him back out here.
So you'll be.
So walk it real quick, yeah, and go through and get the last of that straightened out before they come in and pay.
And then, now you said from the bridge north, what is the little mass that's south of the bridge?
In front of that new house,
Yeah,
when they went through, Weaver Basin line, they crushed that brand new lateral, sewer lateral. And so the homeowner came in and had a contractor come in and open it up. So I'm just trying to figure out I found out they did talk with Cop, and Cop said they were cover the cost of it, so for Weaver Basin.
so that's kind of a little bit distressing, because if you look south of the bridge where we're not planning to replace, there's already significant settling on that brand new pavement that Cop did. Is that going to decrease that height, or where do we stand on that?
So my plan is to come in and crack seal all that once again. Any of the spots that are settling, we'll have them back out, and then we'll probably chip seal that whole road after that point. So yeah, and I'll do it another 8 to 10 years, which is what.
Did you have any other capital expenses?
The other ones would be equipment.
Okay.
Once again, we'll be selling 3 trucks and purchasing 3 trucks. We also put in for a back trailer this year. You know, the lead and copper rules that we got to get done by 2024. That involves going up and sucking out every meter box, seeing what's coming in and out of each meter box. So there's a lot of work we gotta get done for the copper rules, so we can report it to the state.
And what is that going to require of individual homeowners?
So right now, I'm just putting together a letter, and I'm trying to make sure that the state will agree with me that I can send a letter and have either the homeowner take a picture, or tell me what kind, if they know what kind of pipe is coming into their home.
There would be a year that, like, after so.
After
long,
after 1988.
anything built after 88. So the newer subdivisions don't have any lead, but they have copper.
They have copper.
And
They
copper-
should have, so copper's a little bit different. I mean, there is still rules that go along with copper. But it's a little bit different on the aspect. They're more making sure you don't have the lead solder and all that kind of stuff. And that was all supposed to be done by 1986, but it didn't go into effect until 1988. So there's still 2 years you have to go back and test.
So, and then what is gonna be the responsibility of all those homeowners that live in areas? For 1988?
So I've gone through and done some studies, and I do take lead copper every 3 years, throughout the city. So, and we've never had a bad sample, it always came back good. It's just a matter of going through and documenting everything, sending that to the state, providing that information to the state, so if the EPA comes in and audits, we have that. Anything that we can't document will be required to test every year. So our testing will go way up in cost, water samples, so, there's a lot of work we gotta get done, and we're trying to figure out how to get it done in this way.
So I guess I'm looking at some of our individual homes, maybe that were built in the 70s. We have a lot of houses like this built in the 70s. Do you have any idea what it's going to, how it's going to affect individual homeowners cost, or is that just kind of a crapshoot, right?
Right now, yeah, that stays more to that. The one advantage we've had, we've replaced a lot of our older infrastructure, our water lines in most places, and we're finishing up some of the older parts right now, taking out the AC lines. Anybody who's had a galvanized line or something like that, hasn't replaced it, when we've done those projects, the homeowners have, it's their responsibility. So
Good to know.
we're doing, I think we're gonna be really good. We still have a lot we have to prove to the state. We have to either come out and say we are very confident. If we don't say we're very confident in it, then that's a service that we'll either have to dig up. And if we do find any, galvanized ones or anything like that, that will require more testing too, even if it is on a homeowner site. So it's a big deal. So that would be the equipment we're doing for this year, is those things we're doing.
How about the loader? Are we doing that deal again?
Trevor hasn't called me back yet, so I don't know if they don't have any. I know last year the price, we were spending about 170,000. Price. They didn't have any loaders. And I did a message last week, and hasn't got back with me, so you may be one more year on the loader.
Got it.
This year.
And does it still work out reasonably good for 2 years? Seemed like it was.
Yeah, so it would this year, the third year, depending on where our hours are, will be a little bit different. So once we maintain the certain amount of hours, it keeps everything pretty close on the trade-ins and stuff like that.
Okay.
And the 3 trucks that you're looking to acquire, it's a wash, correct? If not.
Yeah, so it should be a wash. It was almost a wash last year with our older trucks. So these trucks, we get, well, we have 2019, yeah, and Colorado. We really close on those prices. And then, our water truck, that's a 2007. We sell that one. Different bed, trucks. So it's a multi-purpose truck.
Great. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Jacob. And with that, I apologize, we don't have more information, but I would entertain a motion to cut this one. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, if I knew exactly, I would tell you. I will tell you that next month, the first council meeting next month, I feel pretty confident Jacob will have a much better, clearer picture of what's going on. He's had a total of 3 days diving into this, and still trying to get access to accounts. So in working with him and talking with him, I feel like beginning next month, we should be able to be much closer right now. Yeah.
I can make a motion to approve the fiscal year 23-24 budget.
So I have a motion from Diane,
Second.
second from Eileen. Any further discussion, any further questions? All in favor of approving the fiscal year 2023-2022 tentative budget, all say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 5.2, which is review, discuss, approve, deny the Rockcliff Ridge Estates Phase 2B. Aaron, this is you.
So,
Or Jeff, both of you.
okay, so we brought, both phase 2A and 2B2, it was just about a month and a half ago, right?
Yeah.
And it was tabled, we brought back 2B, these are the 2 lots that are down on Mountain Road. They have all the utilities installed, and they're ready to go. So we thought we would bring just 2B back to the line, to see if we could get this one.
So are the 2 lots, it seemed like there were 3 at once.
So the third lot there is the detention pond,
Oh,
and it is in that.
This is the guy that those 2 lots. Jason.
okay.
How far up the code the hill are you restricting the building
Well, these lots are
These are-
really deep.
Yeah, they're really deep, the one at Stenwell's house is up behind it. And the other one turns back. It's, it'll be.
These homes will be built up on the street like other homes.
And that's not.
Thank you. Jeff, did you have anything you want to add to that?
No, just that I concur that everything's done on these 2, and there's no reason to hold those up any longer.
Great. With that, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve Rockcliff Ridge Estates Phase 2B as recommended by city staff.
I have a motion from Eileen,
I second that.
second from Gary. Any further questions? Discussion. All in favor of approving the Rockcliff Ridge Estates Phase 2B, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you, Council. Moving on to item number 6.1. This one fell between the cracks. This is review approve the city council meeting minutes from July 19th, 2022. Holy cow. Sorry. Yes. I saw.
We approved the minutes of July 19th.
I've actually gone in and made quite a few revisions to some of the minutes, so I will. Those revisions.
According to Eileen's revisions.
I
Thank you.
actually went in after you as well.
Right.
So they have been reviewed and edited. So the motion would be to accept as
Corrected or
corrected.
amended.
Great. So I have a motion from Diane. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Flo. All in favor of approving the minutes from July 19th, 2022, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Item number 6.2, April 11th, 2023. I would entertain a motion.
I have a question on that. One. Did somebody go, visitors, Lily had done, able to total was here. I added a few, but I don't know the names. We had one other couple here that was next to the Rogers and the name. what I did want to, and one other couple, she had left out. She didn't know, Bill Rogers' wife's name. So I don't know if anybody wants to.
I can't see them. I don't see who it is. I'm sorry. Like in my mind, I'm sorry. I know it's where they're sitting there, but I can't see the face. I can't
So
remember who
we'll
that is.
just leave that and Cynthia Baker is and
Sitting next to me.
then we also have members of the, UC council in there.
Sorry. That's it.
Brian Law's last name is Sandra.
Right. But was she here?
Says Mr. and Mrs. Brian. Law.
Brian.
I know, but was she?
No,
was
it's
she
Brian.
She was here.
No, Brian. No, Sandra's here. Is she?
Okay,
Yeah, Brian and Sandra were here.
okay. Do you want Sandra staying on there? And then the, can I just say something along the lines of, and there's a UC council.
Correct. Oh, yeah, you're right. It was Lydia. I remember seeing
Do you
her.
want to put that in there, George? You do that one, I'll do Brian and Sandra.
I actually wouldn't know how to spell your daughter's name, sorry. How did she spell
Oh, you know what? Her name is down there, special presentation.
it?
Oh, it is,
Great, thank you, council. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of April 11, 2023? As directed. Eileen,
I'll second it.
by Flo, thank you, Flo. All in favor of approving the minutes from April 11, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to 6.3, the minutes from April 5th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I added Sophia, because she wasn't there, as one of Jacob's.
I think, and we have John, but we don't have, who is John's last name?
Hatted, H-A-T-T-E.
Thanks, Jacob. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes from April 2023.
Thank you, Flo. Second?
Second.
Second from Gary. All in favor of approving the minutes from April 25th, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Consent calendar. I'm so sorry. You are one of my follow-ups, but you probably didn't get a chance to review the check register and credit card. Okay. So, I'm sorry, that was actually supposed to be on there, and I was looking down and it wasn't there. So Jacob is going to be meeting with our CPA and going over the last 2 months with a fine tooth comb. I think it would be good after he does that for you to meet with him and review that. I've instructed him that you are the city council member to review those. That we have one council member every year that is responsible for that. So if you wouldn't mind getting with him, probably in the next month or two, that'd be great. Thank you. Follow-up items from previous meeting. I didn't put that on there. There are two things. I had to meet working with Flo on the fire and coming up with ideas. I'm planning on meeting with her this week. Police, I'm so sorry. I won't get into that. The fire. Policing. I will get with Flo on that. I'm sorry, like I took a call from Kaysville last week and they were asking if we would consider moving back. So, no, not yet. I was very cordial. I expressed my appreciation for them. I also said that we are not in a long-term contract with Farmington, but things have been going well, and I don't see a need at this time with. So that is still on the table. So I'm working with you on the police. We have been brainstorming about a few ideas. Chief is awesome, and I think we are going to have a meeting next week or two with them and their department. to produce ideas. So he's working with Paul on that. And there was one other item. It was, oh, we officially were awarded the grant. I don't know if I told you that.
Which,
The water grant for the water loop back up on the east edge, the east water district. It is very near
Full amount?
Full Mount.
which was, then we'll be able to, do some road base and all that, right?
Some of the funds would be utilized for a the work would be- that final acceptance was sent out last week. The money actually, Jacob, the money should be returned probably the next week.
I just want to say that it has to be
I think, once Jacob and Darren get their feet under them, I think that's something we can start. I would like to ask council, I was invited to go to a cottage meeting. Monday. And I told them that we had just been awarded and we were looking for donations. If anyone interested in making a once the cemetery goes to the dog. Tax donation.
currently have a fund
Yes.
now set up that they can actually make donations to the cemetery.
Yes, we have had a cemetery fund set up for the last 2 years.
Now we can really start.
Yes. So if you know of anyone, if you have any connections with anyone, please do that. We're on our home stretch on fundraising for this.
Goodness.
Yeah.
And we also,
It was put out 2 months ago, and Karen actually put a blurb in there for anyone who donate. But now we're going to be going after it. I'm moving forward with that. There was one other thing, but I can't remember. I'm so sorry. My mind's not. Oh, that's something I need to present tonight.
I do.
You do, it was you. Yes. Actually, I have one more. We talked about 2 council meetings ago. My wife has been representing Fruit Heights in the county behavior. She's been going to all the meetings. It was presented that they needed 33 cents a resident. There's been a lot of pushback, even pushback from our city. That's quite a bit for what the services meetings hire an employee. We're now moving in the direction where Farmington, Kaysville, and Fruit Heights are going to create a coalition. The reason we create a coalition is so that we can go after state and federal funds to help with mental illness awareness. So we are going to create a coalition. We're going to work with the Davis County Coalition, the Northern Davis County Coalition, Southern Davis County Coalition, to go after funds. We will be a central Davis coalition. The request now being to, by the end of 2024, come up with $900. So we need to sign a pledge that we would be willing to come up with $900 for this. Hire a part-time employee to work with Central Davis coalition.
can I just say that.
Yeah. Centerville actually had a really awesome thing going. Their mayor's wife, an organization called Centerville, had a lot of volunteer work. It is running really smooth. problem that they have tons of volunteers, and it's working really, really well. They leave, Mayor Wilkinson's wife, Judy, starts falling apart, so that's why we're a cold. We're going to get a part-time person that will help us in the future. I'm very strongly about this. I pretty much told my wife, look, even if the city council does, I would to pay that second. Value is very strong. With the rock loft, we have a group there that is helping with mental illness, physical sustainability, and they're doing a great job. And to pull them, get them involved, would be very, very beneficial. Sorry, that's a lot, but that will be something by the end of next month we need to be able to finalize. That would be a coalition employee. They would oversee grant requests, they would oversee creating the program. In looking and working with Judy with Sentinel Cares, they have built something that's actually really good. So we would probably formalize our coalition and move towards a Sentinel Cares direction instead of a Davis County direction, which is everything for everyone. Sentinel Cares is very narrowly focused it and has doing a very good job. Instead of getting every school kid in every school district, I think it's very much focused on the so that my wife will be on the agenda probably next meeting to present and make a formal request. We need to start intent to get that back. That's everything I have.
Okay, I just have some neighbors that have had flooding, and they're just kind of to comment. They had said they think it's coming from Cherry Heights subdivision. Just to the east of them, there's just black tubes that are coming from that neighborhood, just in, and they're not being properly drained down to this, what would it be?
Storm drain.
Area or storm drain, yeah.
Well, it's their rating of it, so the mountains, so there's.
So I,
Flooding in the neighborhood, so.
so I said I would try to help, so we got a letter to the HOA and it should be the city, right? And so we're gonna try and address that letter to the HOA and see if they fix it, because it really is not a good situation.
And you told me you're willing to track the letter and get that to Darren.
Yes, and I have it, and I just sent it on to you guys.
It's direct, Pete Franson at directcity.com.
Thank you for seeing that and getting that. I appreciate your help on that. Thank you.
Yes, I still would like a couple of suggestions on how to word it so that it looks right.
Send it out.
Okay, I sent it the way it is right now, it's signed just from me, but I don't know how to sign it. I mean, do I did, you know, because I worded it like because I just did that with Darren, I'd gone. I'll reword it, maybe you can help me, thank you.
I think you just move that to me and you get it as propensity.
I do have a couple of questions. Considering water issues, my neighborhood is close up entirely on land drains. I'm subdivision, but there will be have to put in some flooding. But one of those neighbors has insurance for that. But his insurance company is giving hard time that says that there's groundwater in there. And what I suggested to Jeff Fox is that draft a letter. To represent me, and then the insurance company, would that be all right with you, Aaron?
Yeah.
And you've got to sign it, and then it's. That's how coverage covers. Then, there are a couple of other different things. There's, you go through kind of the timeline of what happened with founders. It seems that people have taken off credit for being the first responders there.
No. The sheriff was, the call was made at 5:17. At 5:21, the sheriff was present. Was there. And shortly after, if not the same minute, Hazel was on.
So I thought was the Hazel has put out there on Facebook, and everybody is under the impression that, again, just David. And my thought on it is, the reality is we have our local agreements with our local that risk. It's nice to know that everyone will respond.
Yeah.
And so I really, I feel like Farmington is also.
Farmington is doing a job. They were there right after the county was. They were there within 7 minutes. Which was, I think it was actually 6, wasn't it?
I think.
That was really pretty quick.
It was 6. Yeah, and they were there. They were helping. Very, they're
And then, additionally, there have been questions because all of them and there's not really been any follow-up from the news that we as a city follow on that.
I have directly, I personally have information. Darren, do you have any?
I don't know.
So just, I don't believe that was the parking right. There's an empty lot that is just down from the parking right. It's on the corner. I believe that's where the body was found. Not. I mean, they're very close, but if
It was in a vacant lot, right?
I put a call in the county requesting additional information. So I was actually really upset. Or a suicide, or a firearm was discharged. I would, the schools were locked down, or communities weren't notified. I still have not heard anything. The only information I had is from sheriff that was here on Saturday at the Easter egg. I was asking, he was like, don't have information. It could possibly have been a homeless individual. It was not.
The first frenzy group, whatever, goes around. And it was somebody that lived, and I think it was in that apartment. Anyone who lived, my wife was. What's the good one? Just not
Brookhaven. Thank you. Oh, did you have anything else?
No thanks.
Gary. George, right? Good. Diane, did you have anything?
Yes. I just wanted to ask if we know when the restrooms are gonna be open down at
We had restrooms open, they were vandalized again. So I just decided when my guys didn't find them today. So they are open during.
the youth council activity, that's what they should ask the report tonight, May 26th. But we'll get a final on that. A message from the advisor. They're looking to have a popsicle activity. They'd like to throw pies.
I'm in.
I'm with
Seems
you.
to,
I'll do it.
seems to be delightful to them. That's something.
Now, will those remain open until dusk, or is it going to be closed?
So they may come up about 8:30, right?
So, and what is going to be the rest of the batteries, will they keep them over?
They will keep them open until 10 o'clock.
Keep the batteries in?
So let me just throw it out there, if you need help, please reach out. I'm more than willing to walk over, ride a bike over and help lock up.
Actually, I think the men's is a little there because they must have something on the block. Yesterday.
Can we put some public shading out there? Like,
I
let's,
can get a picture of them. Yeah, I wouldn't.
no, I mean, like, let's put the pictures of what it has looked like the last 3 years, because every year it happens. Let's put those and post them on the door and just say, I mean, print it and put them on the door and say, shame on you.
I mean, I know we talked about it before, cameras, and I think as soon as we
Leading
get
fiber.
fiber down there, then that's the what we're looking at, is that correct?
Yes. And fiber is going to be run to that building. And so that's what the plan is, but so 8 months out, you get fiber ongoing.
And I would think we could put a camera that.
Yeah, the big one's up there and this.
But we should be able to put a camera on, that everybody opens the door, smile, they're on.
Or even go a step further, they have to text in order to get code to open the door, so that we have your cell phone. Or something, I don't know. Thank you.
But thank you for that.
Anything else, Diane? Jeff Willett, do you have anything?
I just want to echo and welcome Jake, the new manager. You know, you're going to get together here in the near future to talk about projects. I also want to get on the city council schedule here in the next little while to talk about all the new laws that were passed. There's a myriad of them. Probably more stuff on land use than we've ever had. So there's quite a few changes that we need to make as a city. So I'll kind of put that together and just lay that out about all the stuff we got to work on.
As a county, or do you have anything in a memo form of all those that we could read?
I got all the, I'm going to be at a training next week to talk about all that stuff. So after that, I'll have a memo that I can, detail all that.
Great, that'd be good if we could get a memo beforehand and we could see what that looks like.
You'll work with the planning commission on getting those things in practice.
Yeah. The big one is the city council will no longer be in the subdivision business, which I find very interesting.
Yeah, because we're a bunch of.
But that's statewide, so don't feel bad about it.
Oh, no, it's just so interesting that our independent thinkers and all that, we want to rip that away.
Yeah, I don't know who these guys are passing this stuff, but
They're developers.
yeah, I think that's clear.
Mike Schultz is a wonderful person. Anyway, so.
That's all I have.
So who would do that?
Well,
Will
so
it be the planning commission at all?
probably there's three options, and we can detail them out. But my guess is probably the planning commission would be the
Only.
yeah.
Okay.
You could do it in-house with just the staff if you choose to, but I don't like that idea.
That doesn't have the answer to the question. Is that, I mean, is that the idea, you don't, that way it makes it so nobody has to answer to the developer?
Well, I think that puts a lot of pressure on staff by developers to say, I want you to do this for me.
By the way, we don't want.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that, but there's a few options, but a lot of changes.
Thank you, Jeff. And we appreciate what you're doing for us. Thank you. Darren, did you have anything?
Nichols Road will be closed for one day, they restrict the bridge. Thinking today is asking for the day to do it. But I'll find out the day and get that out for everybody. And we're getting close on that side to get everything finished.
What were they finishing on the bridge at 400 North, the other?
They restriped it, I don't know what else they did to it. They had some braces or something to do. And paving was, you'll see that start up. Right now, it's coming down, doing all on that ramps. And everything else.
So what is our plan on Nichols Road as far as kind of pulling that back together? Is that kind of a ways out there still on
The 200 yards on the west side. That's
So we actually had that in our plans, we'll probably be next year. We'll, the parking lot there, all that and stuff like that. We got some layout stuff we want to fix first. So probably next year.
Darren, I speak for all the city council. Thank you. You're incredible. We love working with you. You do a great job. Jacob, last but not least, do you have anything to present to the council?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to thank all of you guys. I'm excited to work with all of you here in beautiful Fruit Heights City. I started last Wednesday, full time. Really this week is when I've been getting my feet wet. And I want to thank Darren. Darren has been there. I've spent many hours with him. He's got an awesome public works director. He's really been helping me out. And I'm sure he'll continue to. He's a good natured guy. You guys all know, I can tell that right off from the beginning. And I also want to thank the other staff members that I worked with so far, Haley, as well as Aaron, Crystal, and Ellen. They have been very forthcoming with information because I have been asking a lot of questions and taking a lot of their time understanding the processes that happen here at the city. I'm excited to work with all of them because they're all good people. I'm actually amazed at how well they get along and talk with each other, and how willing they are to work with me to help improve Fruit Heights and the processes that we have here. I haven't got to know the public works employees as much yet. I'm intending to do that this next week. I also would like to get to know all of you, so I'm planning to give you a phone call here in the near future so we can set up a time, see what you're comfortable with and what we can do. Either just being here in person or visiting you, or going out to dinner, lunch, that sort of thing. But again, thank you, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
And how long is your commute?
Depends on if school's in or not.
6 minutes.
The longest it took me was 8 minutes, and I can just, yeah, it's not bad.
I think it must be just slightly closer to the center.
It's about 2 minutes.
That's the last thing on our agenda, and I'm trying to keep it under a minute, not under an hour. Our next meeting is on May 17th. I look for a motion to adjourn. I have a second from Gary. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Bye.
Any opposed? Adjourning at 7:59.
Now, we'll see.